Hi, I'm Shilpa,
Hi, I'm Sammi.
and today we're talking about abuse in relationships.
Am I? I don't know yet.
So how do you know when you're in an abusive relationship?
I think it's overall when you feel really uncomfortable in the relationship, when you feel smothered, and a lot of the time it can go from more emotional negative feelings to physical abuse and even sexual abuse as well.
Could you tell me a bit about your understanding of things like emotional abuse?
I think that's where I first noticed that it was becoming something not normal with like more emotional abuse. And I think it's also quite hard to, especially if you're quite an isolated couple, which I think that I probably was. A lot of it starts with kind of controlling behaviour, and a lot of the time it can go from really, really small things and then build up.
Controlling, that can be things like maybe checking your text messages and your phone and...
Yeah, just things like I heard things like, oh, how long are you going to be out for exactly, and things being hidden, and just things like it not being a clear and open relationship.
But when you're being told that you're not good enough or you're not worthy, and you know, you're almost being manipulated into believing that you're something less than you are, that's a real sign that it's not something healthy.
Yeah, that's something else, isn't it? Like I feel like arguments should kind of usually get to a certain, you know, they can get to a certain point. Yeah. And then when it gets on to getting really personal and just kind of really negative, and it's not something more superficial about, you know, something that you're arguing about maybe. When it's becoming damaging to you, you yourself and your emotions and your personality, and changing yourself as well. Because I feel like I changed a lot, you know, over the course of a few years.
Who do you think it can affect?
Anyone, literally anyone. Which I think is what a lot of people don't understand, and because it's not talked about a lot as well, and when it is talked about, maybe it's always the same sorts of people who talk about it, so people don't realise that their friend or someone in their family could be going through it, because it's quite a closed subject.
Yeah, and I think sometimes people who maybe don't have anyone to talk to, or they don't see it reflected. So, you know, boys, for example, maybe people don't feel like, oh, they could be victims of physical, emotional, sexual abuse, and regardless of, you know, age or gender or sexuality. And when some of these behaviours are happening, it can be really hard if you are in love with that person. How can that impact you?
Yeah, it makes it a lot more difficult because you're just thinking overall, I love them and they love me, so it's like this must be fine, you know, and it's not, it's like it puts such a mask over everything. And I think that's where it's good to kind of take a step back from the relationship and thinking about them. That's the thing as well, a lot of people use it against you, the feeling of love, and especially if it's your first relationship or long-time relationship that you've been in, you wouldn't know what it should be like maybe, or what if they're going too far.
So what is physical abuse and how does that impact a relationship?
In my experience, physical abuse is when there's any kind of touching or just anything against you physically that isn't right. You know, it's too harsh, it's vicious, it hurts you basically. Anything that's hurting you is not right, you know, that's physical abuse. A lot of people as well have said that when their partner's been drinking, it can make them start doing that, and you know, in some relationships it's the drink, maybe some it just happens.
It is really important if someone is experiencing that they feel they can tell someone, so whether that's a GP, a nurse, you know, sort of a trusted friend or adult as well, or even the police if, you know, things have escalated. Would you be able to tell us a little bit about how it could be difficult for someone to leave a relationship like that? Because I think there might be a bit of a stigma attached to why someone wouldn't just leave if they were being physically abused.
If you're in a certain situation at home, you know, if you can't leave where you're living, if you've got nowhere else to go, you can feel really trapped. The best thing you can do is just to tell someone. And I think there's a big worry of being judged as well, is why a lot of people don't say anything or try to leave. But at the end of the day, the only thing that can happen is something good for you.
And abuse in relationships can also be sexual as well.
Sexual abuse would be things like being touched or being made to do certain sexual things when you're not comfortable with it. It can be being made to watch certain sexual things. It could be online a lot of the time as well. Sometimes it's lovely to be in a relationship, but a lot of it can also just be a label that can be used against you. So it doesn't really matter if you don't feel like you want to, if you're not ready to, if you're not comfortable, then that's abuse. It's not right. You don't want to feel in danger as well with someone you're supposed to trust, or you feel like you're supposed to trust.
And if someone is experiencing abuse in a relationship, it's absolutely never their fault, and it's not okay, and it is something that they can get help with. And if someone's friend had come to them and said that they were going through this, but they weren't quite sure how to respond, is there something that would be more helpful?
Yeah, I think just try to be understanding, try not to be judgmental at all. Just try and do whatever you can to help. And if your friend is being hurt, if there is some sort of physical abuse going on, you could offer to help take them to a doctor or to the hospital. For me, if I maybe didn't want them to know about it at first or something, and they did go and talk to my mum or someone about it, and that helped.
So I suppose one of the big things to remember, especially if you're a friend, is to not be worried if you are wrong, be worried if you're right, and if you do suspect that someone is experiencing abuse. And we just want everyone to know that, it's definitely not their fault. That's not part of a healthy relationship, and help is available for them. Sammi, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us and being so open and sharing all your experiences. Thank you. And we will be doing more videos as well on consent and healthy relationships, which you can check out on our YouTube channel. So until next time, bye.